You don't have to do that kind of awkward multiple first dates where you explain one more time, no, our supply chains are just a little bit more complicated than that, or actually, no, I don't have visibility on the factories and where stuff's coming from.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hossman. Joining me today is a brand new rock star, someone I've been trying to track down here for a while, and she was kind enough to do it. She's a Director of Sustainability and Responsibility at PPAI. Liz Wimbush, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So thank you for agreeing. And so for those who don't follow on a daily basis or don't know, what does the Director of Sustainability and Responsibility at PPI actually do on a day-to-day basis?
Great question. So I am the first person in the role. So I've had the unique advantage and honor of kind of shaping what this role is. And a lot of it is just around member needs. So I was brought on to the association to help fill this education and guidance gap. And some of that is with specific member needs, and some of it is industry wide. So helping us drive the industry forward where I can. So day to day, it looks like a lot of one-on-one member engagement. I do a lot of calls with folks who are, varying stages of their sustainability maturity in their business. Just getting started, interested in learning more, up to we're trying to figure out how to recertify as a B Corp and we need some help with a consultant, kind of the whole range. We build out a lot of education, so I work with our professional development team pretty consistently on our certification platform. We're doing a lot more webinars this year, and then speaking engagements. This year is shaping up to be a really exciting one for a lot of really good speaking engagements to bring that education to more people and more areas and regions.
Yeah, that's really cool. I remember when the position was announced and then your name was brought up, and many of the people that I respect the most in the industry were singing your praises as you were the perfect person for it. So that's really cool. Obviously you've been in the role a little bit. So what progress has the promotional products industry made in sustainability over the last few years?
So I would say really it's accelerated in the last few years. I think roughly 5 years or so was when we started to see the real direction take shape. It's the industry is this behemoth. So you think about changing a direction, it's like this giant ship, and you start steering well in advance of it actually turning. So I think that's probably around 5 years ago as we started to see it, and it's accelerated since then. So in the last couple of years, since I've had this opportunity to kind of see it big picture and some of the strategy and be involved in shaping that, there's a lot of momentum towards data. So, a few years ago, we were all making really ambitious claims and putting goals out there that we were still figuring out how we were going to get there. Some of them are net zero goals, some of them are waste reduction goals, or moving to working with certified materials, or getting a certification like a B Corp or an EcoVadis level. And I think now we've shifted in backing up a lot of those claims with the data. So there's a lot of work happening kind of under the surface that isn't as glamorous maybe as these large sweeping initiatives, but it's what actually moves the needle. And it's kind of the part that I'm the most excited about.
So I think regardless of industry, we want to keep the planet. I think most of us can agree
Yeah.
with that, right? But I think some folks are fast to adopt this and some folks are slow. So how do you think sustainability can actually create a competitive advantage in the marketplace?
So first, it is driven by a lot of efficiencies. Like the first thing you do when you are looking at your business through a new sustainability lens is discovery. So you are mapping your supply chain. You're figuring out where you have inefficiencies, whether it's in your product, your transport, your your staffing, making sure that you understand everything that is going on so you can find those opportunities for improvement. So most most of the time I would say it's I hear back from members and companies that have started carbon accounting, for example, for the first time. And they'll say something like, it's wild. In the first year, I found enough to justify 3 times the cost of this platform or this consultant I'm working with. Like, there's all these little ways that you're finding efficiencies in your business and just better understanding it that comes with that discovery. Um, on top of that, there's so much of a push with consumers and people entering the workforce. Like, increasingly, companies that are positioning themselves along with their values are attracting more people, more workers, people are staying longer. And the larger buying groups now are made up of people who are making those decisions, those buying decisions that really align with their values. So there's business opportunities, there's efficiency opportunities, and there's really these staffing opportunities, realistically. Like, you attract a lot more talent when you're really upfront about aligning your business with your values.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It really does. But I think, a lot of the organizations in our industry, and this is probably true in many, are smaller, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for smaller distributorships, they might be like, hey, yeah, I want to be a part of this, but it's all a bit overwhelming. So for those folks, what are like one or two simple moves they can make to sort of truly differentiate?
Great question. I love this one. So much of what you can do engaging with PPAI, we've created a lot of resources to help those members specifically. I think it's one of the gaps that, of course, the big players have the resources or the budget to hire a full-time person, and whether they're looking at just sustainability or it's sustainability and compliance or product safety, that's great. And I want to encourage those people and make sure that they have the resources. But we have this huge amount of members that are in that middle space where you don't have that. You don't have the resources for that. So you might have somebody who's working on at a distributor, you manage production or you manage logistics or vendors. And that's a small piece of what you're doing is this sustainability lens that you're looking through. And I think taking advantage of some of the resources that we've created is a really good first step. So our new learning management system, where our certifications are it's called PPAI Advance. We have quite a few new CAS level courses that are specific to sustainability and responsibility. So a first good touch point is the carbon accounting for promo course that we have that is just a really good baseline to understand what this is for our industry, for distributors, and what tools are out there to get started. It's kind of I don't want to say it's the easiest, but it's the most approachable from a sustainability initiative standpoint. Um, we also have a sustainability webpage that is just a kind of hub of resources for members, glossaries, guides, tools, quite a few links to our media where we cover anything related to sustainability that can get you looped in on what's happening so that you can make some informed decisions on how you want to approach sustainability in your business. I think the two biggest things we hear from members that are just starting out are often around the carbon accounting and then waste management. We're all trying to push back against this reputation of brand fill, as
Right.
Danny, our board chair, so
Yeah.
eloquently coined.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's something that we're all really trying to push back against, and that there's so many different ways to do that, but it's built around this shared language that we're using. So a lot of our education is geared to that, to making sure that you feel empowered to speak to what your business is doing to your clients and their clients and end users so that they really understand everything that goes into those products that are making their way to them.
Right. So you just before I move on to my final question, because that was really interesting. Where is this on the PPI website that folks can find this?
It is ppai.org/sustainability. So from there, there's links to, we have a solution center listing for sustainability business service members. So These are service providers that I have researched and vetted before we bring them on so that they have an understanding of our industry. You don't have to do that kind of awkward multiple first dates where you explain one more time, no, our supply chains are just a little bit more complicated than that, or actually, no, I don't have visibility on the factories and where stuff's coming from. So that's another resource that we have there for people as well.
Cool. Okay. Okay. Final question for you. Cause I always say there's defense and offense on business, right? Like I think sometimes, at least for me, I view some of this as defense. I'm trying to learn it and, I'm trying to answer questions, but I think if you can go on an offense, then it becomes more of a differentiator. And so how can we keep sustainability from feeling like a burden is really the point. And then instead kind of frame it as innovation.
Totally. So I think our industry has suffered from this kind of nervous concern that we don't want to put ourselves out there and show all the work we've been doing. And there's been a huge amount of work in the sustainability space in our industry that collectively we should be really proud of. We have regularly, I have business service members I'm talking to who come in and start to embed in the industry and will come back to me and say, your product safety standards are incredible. Collectively as an industry, you've done so much work. Like we're building off that, but I don't think people realize how much work has gone into, promo makes safe products. I think having this celebrating our wins, our small wins, so that we can both learn from each other and also build on them is really important. But specifically removing the lens of it being a burden, the most common approach I think that we take where we really win as an industry is we aren't an industry of order takers. We are problem solvers. We are solving problems for our clients with marketing. And often those problems that we're solving aren't immediately apparent. So if a customer comes to somebody and says, I'm having an event and I need X amount of whatever cheap giveaway I can give at my booth, or I want stress balls. I want, some quick giveaway that it doesn't really matter. I just want it to be cheap. Like, okay, so what are you trying to solve? Like, what problem are you trying to solve? Who is your audience? What do you want their takeaway to be? And really digging into that and finding out that often those solutions align really nicely with sustainability initiatives, ethically made products that last a long time that people will keep and cherish. Like that's what we all want to be making. That's a sustainable promotional product.
Right.
And you kind of just have to align that understanding with that problem solving.
That's great. This has been wonderful, Liz, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, where can folks find more about you or connect with you?
So ppai.org/sustainability is a great place to get started. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, or my email is elizabethw@ppai.org. And I look forward to talking to anybody who is interested in learning more or just nerding out about any new sustainability trends we can talk about.
Love it. I love it. Liz, this has been fun. We absolutely will have to do this again, okay?
Deal. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. That's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time. Marketing.